What's happening, guys? It's Boxing Lowdown and I'm back here with another video. So I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts and opinions on this. Now, Dana White came out last week and said when he gets into boxing, I mean, I know it's been on the burner for a while, Dana White making his debut in boxing, so to speak. He's going to be running his own promotional company in boxing and he's going to have his own fighters, sort of like what he's got with the UFC. Now, one thing that interesting that he pointed out was he wanted to run boxing in a similar model to the way how the UFC is run. So that means no sanctioning bodies will be recognised in terms of the belts. You know, the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, the WBO, those sort of belts are not going to be recognised under Dana White. We've seen that take place now in the past with Al Heyman, with the PBC. They're refusing to recognise the WBO. You know, I think the idea for Al Heyman in the beginning was to sort of run his model, you know, the PBC. I think idea was to run his model like how Dana White has it with the UFC. But with Dana White making his promotional debut in boxing, he's saying that he's going to, you know, eradicate all of the sanctioning body belts. I don't know if he's going to have his own belt like he has with the UFC. I don't know if he's going to do that with boxing. But what do you guys think about it? I think it's a topic worth discussing. Now, for all the faults that the sanctioning bodies do, and I am a big, you know, I speak about this all the time with regards to the sanctioning bodies in terms of all the belts that they have, you know, people put in as #1 contenders when they shouldn't be, you know, the dodgy ranking system. There's a lot of faults that these sanctioning bodies do have. Personally, out of all of them, I probably favour the IBF. I think the IBF stick to their policy more than anybody else. So I'd favour the IBF over everybody else. But with regards to the other sanctioning bodies, man, you've seen it with the WBC. We've got all sorts of belts flying all over the place. We don't know who's the champion. It's a bit of a mess. Look at the middleweight division with Canelo and Charlo. It's a mess. So I understand where Dana White's coming from, and in an ideal world, I'd be all for that idea. I just don't know how it's going to work in boxing. I don't know if we're too far gone. The belts at the end of the day do hold a market value to some of these fighters who are slightly lower on the scale. You know, it could get them in a position to get them, you know, more money in these fights, and we all want to see these boxers earn as much as they can from their potential. So there is that sort of element to it, but I do think it's a good idea, but then I don't know if it's going to work in boxing. I don't know if it will actually run. But Dana White, he's a tremendously successful businessman. He's done amazing over there at the UFC, and he's going a different route. You know, he's not going the same route as everybody else. He wants to try something different. So I also respect that. It's going to be interesting to see how it works and how it goes. But I wanted to get you guys' thoughts and opinions about it anyway. Do you think this is a good idea for boxing or not? For me personally, I do recognise the sanctioning bodies. You know, I do recognise the WBC. Even though I think that they're not just the WBC, I do recognise all of them, but I do recognise that they all have faults. And yeah, the Ring Magazine belt, I think that is the most prestigious one of them all. I think whoever holds the Ring Magazine belt, I think that those rankings are probably the most credible as to how I look at things in boxing right now. I don't look at the WBC rankings and think, okay, the WBC has this person as #1, so they're #1. I would automatically go to the Ring rankings. So I think that still works. I think that their policy with regards to having a champion, they have one belt only and they have one champion per division. So if Dana White's looking to go down that route, it could get more complicated as well. Let's not forget, if he does bring his own belt in there, that will get complicated. So I don't know how he's going to do it. I just think it's an interesting topic and one to discuss, you know, what your favourite sanctioning bodies are, if any, and do you think that this, you know, ambitious idea of Dana White would work in boxing? So I don't know, man. I'm a bit all over the place with this video, but I want to get you guys' thoughts and opinions on it. What belt do you think is more credible? Do you think Dana White could pull this off? Do you guys look at the Ring Magazine as I do, as, you know, probably the most credible sanctioning body? Not really a sanctioning body, are they? But just the most credible ranking system in terms of boxing right now.